I'm Tom Rioch, promoting successful business experts, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Solon, Iowa, Tom Altman, Fractional CTO at Altus CXO, AI and cybersecurity advocate. He excels in aligning technology with business strategy to drive growth and innovation. So Tom, what's the best way to bridge gaps between technical teams and executive leadership?
Thanks for asking, Tom. Yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting piece. I think the technology guys kind of sit down there and they try to get things going, and then sometimes it seems a little counterintuitive to the C-suite. So I think the best thing is have open lines of communication, but really be working hard to bridge the gap with company strategy, with company data, and just sharing and communicating with your IT team if you're in that C-suite. A lot of times they'll have answers to help you, but they don't always know what's going on. So right. I think just open lines of communication, Tom, is what I would push first through.
Well, as a fractional CTO, you're called generally in the middle of a firefight, right?
Unfortunately, that's true.
Well, but that's where the need comes, because maybe the locals don't really understand themselves, and and what I've seen in my personal executive life, the technical person's coming open up a massive toolbox that nobody understands.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I kind of sometimes joke, we work on all things, like, tell me what's not technology in your company these days, and the answer is almost nothing, right?
Right, that's true.
So there's just so much tech that it almost becomes, I think, even just as little as 10 years ago, people could say, we've got the tech team and then we've got the business. Well, it's just one and the same anymore. And I think what we're seeing now, and, a couple things that are interesting, we've got the cybersecurity angle, which just keeps ramping up. And I think the cyber teams are leveraging, people, they're leveraging AI, and they're being able to trick us more.
Right.
And finding more vulnerabilities, right? Because everything is software based. You have to make sure all your things are up to date. That goes for your firewall, your switches, all the way down to, like we've talked about before too, these devices that talk to everything. These are starting to be in the business, right? Because people use them at home, and then they think, well, geez, it's super nice for me to talk to my fridge, so I might as well be able to talk to my ERP, right? And it's novel and it's interesting and it is pretty convenient, but every time we open a port to one of those pieces, we open ourselves up to vulnerabilities as well. So that's kind of the cybersecurity piece, where you really just have to make sure things are on lockdown. Sometimes the word zero trust, or the phrase zero trust, is used. And we use zero trust to continually kind of approve things as we go. But then the other piece that's kind of interesting and scary and awesome is everyone wants to kind of get into using AI now, but
whether they want to or not, right?
Exactly. And I think, I think by the time 2026, 2027 rolls around, you're going to need it, right? Like,
right.
You need that superpower that, that it brings. But in the middle of that, and that's kind of my promotion right now, is to get your technology house in order in 2025, because what you don't want to do, and a lot of times there's a lot of information that's available to people, but it's kind of hidden from obscurity, right?
Right.
They didn't know that the Excel spreadsheet that had everyone's salaries in it was
out there
12 folders deep. You just never found it because you didn't click enough.
Right.
Or worse yet, the passwords that are being stored to make sure that we're locking, the front door at the firewall is also potentially, in a spreadsheet down there 15 levels deep.
Right.
And
your neighbor's kid has it, right?
Well, it knows it's there because it scans everything that looks, and it's trying to be helpful. Hey,
right.
Tom, I want to help you find out what Jim's salary is, since you asked, right? But Jim wasn't so keen on that. So I think those two pieces in tandem is kind of the cybersecurity, and then really just understanding who has access to what data just in your own company. Those two things are the one things that we kind of focus on, and how people can find their way through that. It's not hard. It just takes time and diligence. And
well, you need somebody to lead the way. Well, speaking of hard, let me ask you another question. I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile, and there you say pouring digital concrete. For me, concrete sets and's hard, and you have to break it. How's that fit with what you just said?
Well, both things, right? It is hard, and you have to break it if you want to move it. But also, we want to have a foundation to build companies on that's strong, that is built in trust, and we want to feel good if we're building a 15-story building that first level sub basement is super tight. And I think some of that is technology. If your technology foundation isn't strong, it's going to be hard to build a company that's tall and and continues to grow. And so that's kind of the kind of sneaky hook line that I put in there, Tom, to get people's interest.
Well, we're back to that point. Then you, as a fractional CTO, you could come back once in a while to check the foundation.
Absolutely. I mean, think of, if we use that analogy and use building, you have to get things inspected. You can't just let things go. Things need maintenance. It needs, upkeep. And your technology needs so too. There's a term that kind of gets thrown around a lot that's called technology debt.
Right.
We put all these dollars into the budget to buy the next greatest thing, and then we don't always know exactly how to use it.
Right.
And we call that like systems maps, so we can see what is it that you do have.
Right.
And then kind of the next logical step after that is process mapping. So so of this system that you have, what do you use it for, and who uses it? And does it have all it needs? Did we think about all the things it does? And I think people go out looking software for a solution,
right,
which is good. I think a great example is, we need more sales, Tom. So how do we do that? Well, clearly what we
well,
need
first of all,
is
we're at the beginning of the year, and that's what everybody says. We need that. That's what we need today, right?
We have to have it.
Got to have it.
And the only way to do that, Tom, is I need a CRM to make that happen. That's how I can hit my sales goals. Well, CRM is only a translation of your processes that you use to sell to your current customers. So if you don't have one of those, that's your problem. not having a CRM, right? So I think we use technology as a crutch sometimes. I think we say, well, that's what we need, And then you get on a phone with a CRM company, and you can be rest assured that they're going to tell you, yes, we can do that, right? And they can. They can do it, but what is the path that we need to take? Well, we need to know how you want to do that.
Right, and how it fits into what you have.
So that's another piece of that digital foundation that I'm talking about is, do you know what you do? Do you know how you do it? And then can we find opportunities there to be more efficient, to potentially use some automation and AI? And when we list out all that stuff, when we kind of get all your processes, your information, your data, your SOPs, when we get those things on paper or in a document that we can look at, now we can kind of see how they all evolve and work together. And then all of a sudden it feels like we can start to build something, or potentially buy a piece of software, or replace something in a much more efficient manner. And then everyone kind of has a nice visual. They can see how this works. And then, we can continue to evolve as we go.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you, Tom, for being here. So for our audience, you're not necessarily Mr. Fix-It. You're more Mr. Prevent-It, right?
My wife would say I'm definitely not Mr. Fix-It, but we like to get in early, but we can come in and fix things. I mean, that is another.
No, but problem. I think that the analogy to checking the foundation, many times that's overlooked.
It is,
because we're generally tuned to looking at cracks or seeing something when it falls.
Exactly.
But in today's changing world, which is every 4.5 seconds, things happen. So you help your clients be up to date or before the date. Is that it?
With luck, yeah. We'll do either way, but yeah, we'd love to get in there for early, get you the help you need early, so we don't have to worry about the big cracks or big chunks of the concrete falling out, right?
Very good. So how can our listeners find you?
Absolutely. I work for a company called Altus CXO, like you mentioned. You can go to altuscxo.com or search for Tom Altman on LinkedIn, and I should be pretty easy to find there as well.
Very good. Well, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, and again, for our listeners, it's Tom Altman. It's T-O-M, the last name A-L-T-M-A-N. You'll find him at altuscxo.com. That's altuscxo.com, as well as find Tom on LinkedIn. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus Semi Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at their site, focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.